Lowell Planning Board meeting for January 20th, 2011. The first matter on the agenda this evening is the minutes from January 3rd, 2011. Did all planning board members have an opportunity to look over the minutes with any comments or concerns?
Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the January 3rd planning board minutes.
Second that, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Chair votes yes. Those minutes have been approved. This evening, we do have one public hearing on. This public hearing is a definitive subdivision, 61 Bigelow Street / 160.1 Swan Street. A public hearing will be held regarding an application by Swan Street Development Company, LLC, for approval of definitive subdivision plan of 16,460 square foot property located at 61 Bigelow Street and a 72,628 square foot parcel situated between 61 Bigelow Street and Industrial Ave East called 160.1 Swan Street. The proposal includes 2 new residential lots totaling 14,690 square feet and 1 new vacant lot totaling 1.4 acres to house stormwater infrastructure. The lot would be accessed via a new 180-foot roadway to be built off Bigelow Street. The site is located in the traditional single-family zone in the high-rise commercial zoning district. May we hear the case for the applicant, please?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is David Plunkett. I have an office in the city of Lowell at 151 Warren Street. I'm here representing Swan Suite Development, LLC, the owner of the property and the applicant before you here today. Also here with me tonight is Ronald Close, who is the engineer who will be working on the project, and Roland Mainville of RAM Contracting, which will be the contractor involved with the development. Mr. Chairman, this is a fairly straightforward small subdivision, so to speak, in that there's going to be the addition of 1 new residential lot. There is 1 residential home already in existence there that will be raised, and then you'll have 2 resultant residential lots with the back lot off of the subdivision street. We understand that at this point in time there were some, there were some comments that we received from Mr. Clausen, which, if you wish, we could address that, because it's the intent that the subdivision as presented to the board would be without any waivers be in strict compliance with all the rules and regulations of the subdivision ordinances in the city of Lowell. In the letter of January 4th, 2010, with the comments from Mr. Clausen, just to address each one as presented, the first one noted that that there is to be no use for the residential use within the HCR district, and that is not the intent. We can clearly show that the driveways utilized and to be utilized by the 2 residential structures will be located in the residential zone, and the curb cuts can easily be located there also. So we recognize the comment and agree that that is to be addressed, and it can be addressed. We have some preliminary plans, but we're waiting for any further comments that we will then put everything together in a final plan for presentation to you. Paragraph number 2, comment number 2 in regards to the shape, we've reconfigured the lots as to address this issue here, in which we make it more of a symmetrical lot. There is a plan that will show, rather than coming from the very point and having a triangular portion. There'll be a 9-foot wide section that's symmetrical type of jot off the back of that parcel of land. Number 3, in terms of a portion of Lot 2 on the plan that was originally presented, again, in full agreement that the point that Mr. Clausen made is correct, and the plan will be reconfigured to make certain that Lot 2 is not any, that any portion of Lot 2 that was shown within that right-of-way is to be eliminated in the reconfigured Lot 2. Paragraph number 4, again, same thing, recognizing the comment as being accurate in regards to the requirements of the city ordinance and your subdivision rules and regulations, and that also can be addressed to bring that outside of the way, and we have some preliminary plans here right now. Again, not the final, waiting for further comment that will show that, bringing it off into the, bringing it off of the right-of-way. The right-of-way turnaround, we do have a plan showing the actual delineation of the area that is proposed to be the public way as part of this approval process, and clearly delineating the temporary turnaround area. So that is also to be addressed in plans that are being drawn up. We have some rough copies today to address each of these points, and that can be addressed also. Paragraph number 6, it's the intent of the applicant to provide sidewalks on both sides as required, and with the 4-foot landscape buffer, that we can comply with that, and the final plans will show compliance with that provision also. Number 7 really isn't a comment for a change, and again, it actually would be the intent of the applicant to actually not reduce or ask for any waivers of any sort. It would be the intent to build out as in full compliance with all the regulations for the build out of the roadway. In regards to the trees, the area located on the residential lots for which the 2 residential structures would be built within the residential area. There are no trees there now. Any trees located off of the in the HRC zone are not necessary to be eliminated for the purpose of the build out of those 2 residential zones. So, that's something that can be addressed with the board. So, bottom line, Mr. Chairman and board members, is that, it's the intent to be in full compliance, no waivers, no variances of any sort, and we would, certainly welcome any comments, or if you have any questions of myself or the engineer or Mr. Mainville, would be happy to try to provide whatever information you need.
Okay, thank you. Could you just have maybe either yourself or the engineer explain how lot number 61 is going to be taken down, and how the roadway is going to come in for the people who are present this evening, as well as the board members, if you would, please?
Could you say that? Which one is that?
Basically, can you explain the roadway coming in, how you propose to eliminate one home? So I'm sure some people are going to have questions like, where is this new street coming in? And can you explain which house is going to be torn down to make access for this roadway coming in? And
It would be the house that's currently numbered 61, located on Bigelow Street. So that would be raised in order to provide for the build-out of the roadway. The build-out of the roadway would be to the northeasterly side of that lot, currently numbered 19A, in which the house located at 61 Bigelow currently exists. So it would be on that northeasterly side, adjacent to number 73, for the entryway into for the location of the new roadway.
Sure.
I'll just ask Mr. Close if he can
Sure.
also,
You could just give his name for the record, if you would, please. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Ron Close. I am the engineer on this project. I was contacted by Mr. Aho, the surveyor for the project, to complete the hydrology and/or sewer system. Your question was where the entrance of the roadway will begin. The center line of the new street would be aligned with the most easterly side of the existing home, number 61. That is, if you're looking at it from the street, the left-hand side of the home would be on the new center line. So it's a 45-foot layout, approximately half of the street would be to the, from the left-hand side of the building through the building. So it's obvious that that building has to be raised and removed, demolished, and a new house proposed. Did I answer that question?
Yes. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Plunkett, anybody else on behalf of the applicant want to say anything before I turn it over to the public?
No, Mr. Chairman, just, to reiterate that, it's our intent to comply with all the requirements, and, this would be a subdivision fully compliant with all the rules and regulations set forth in the city ordinance.
Thank you, Councilor. At this point in time, would anybody like to speak in favor of this project? Anyone in favor? In favor? Hearing none, that portion of public hearing is closed. Would anybody like to speak in opposition? If you could just state your name and address for the record, please, sir.
My name's Albert Parrington. I live at 64 Bigelow Street. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I am opposed to the proposed project before you, mainly in regards to the need to construct a new street off of Bigelow Street. It would necessitate the clear cutting of a wide swath of trees, which presently serve as a natural buffer zone to the noise and the pollution from the interstate and the industrial park. The new street and detention pond are directly opposite my home. Further, it would disrupt the aesthetics of our neighborhood as it is currently laid out, and that our homes now have been purposely spaced evenly apart with equal setback from the street on equal-sized lots. Also, you're asking the city to take on the costs of plowing and sanding and sweeping and maintenance of a long cul-de-sac that essentially will serve only one new residence. Those are my main concerns in opposition to this proposed project.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak in opposition?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for having me here. I'm Ken Harkins. I live at 110 Bigelow Street. And we were here before on this same thing, and they were asking us to change the zoning. I hear the gentleman talking. He wants to encroach on the HRC to build this. My understanding is, from the last time, couldn't do this. And now he's saying it's all in compliance. He can encroach on it. He can build out onto it. And figures don't lie, but liars figure. From the map or proposal of the last time and what we have this time, the lot that is going to be a new lot has increased in size. I guess my question would be, would the person that bought 63 have clear title? As a realtor, I'd be concerned about that. Because we're playing with a zoning change, and they're saying there's no zoning change, but here's the line, and we're going to build over it, and that's going to be okay. My next question is, which hasn't been addressed from the last time, what about the sewerage? Bigelow Street, I understand that the sewer line there is at capacity, and we can't put any more into it. We have people putting baffles in so the sewer doesn't back up on them. I don't know, maybe he's gonna put in a pumping station and pump it over to Industrial Lab where we don't have to worry about my sewer backing up I don't want it. He wants to put in a mosquito trap. Well, he calls it a water trap, but I call it a mosquito trap because it's swampland back in that end of the street. Where he's proposing to put his swimming pool for the wild animals in the water is where there is some water before. There was water there when we had the rains the last time we were here. And there's an embankment back there that has been pitched to take care of so it doesn't erode the houses above it. So I would be concerned about what he's going to do to the property there and the aesthetics of it and how he's going to encroach on HRC and not ask for a zoning change. Because he's only building one house, supposedly. I mean, the track record isn't good for the builder. It's not good. I'm against it, and I would urge you to reject it. As he says, it's a proposal, he's going to make changes, but if you approve it now, he can make the changes, and we have no say in what the changes are. I would like to see it come back as a fully presented plan with no maybes or ifs or buts, and know what the sewer is going to be, and I don't care to put a baffle in my sewer line because I have to go through too much paperwork. I would request that you respectfully decline it. They can come back with the full package so we can have some input into it and make sure that it's going to be built by code, by regulation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. If you could just stay there for a minute, I'm going to try to answer one of your questions, if you could, please. One of the issues you raised was when they came before for the zoning change.
Yes.
So what happened on the zoning change, when it came before us, we were only the recommending body, and went before the council, and the council denied the zoning change.
Right.
Okay. So at that time, if my memory serves me correctly, he wanted to put in 9 house lots.
Yeah, he wouldn't put a whole city in there.
So when he comes in now, what his proposal is, he has the traditional, as I read it correctly, make sure with the zoning, he has as I wrote it down, he has the traditional single-family lot as well as the high-rise commercial. So he wants to rip down lot number 61.
Right.
And then add 2 lots. So basically, it would be a net of 1 lot. So what he can do in the traditional single-family zone is he can build 2 houses. Now, the houses, the size of the houses, the the front yard, the parking requirements, and everything else in the traditional single-family zone has to be met. The only thing that he can use in the HRC zone is if he wants to use part of it for a yard space. So the only thing he can use is if he picks up, is the way it appears to be now, the rear of lot 2 and the rear of lot 1, he can only encroach into the HRC if he wants to pick up that as rear yard space. Everything else has to meet the requirements, the front yard, on the road, on the street, the size of the building, and the parking requirements and everything else. So when you have the two mixed zones together, our zoning requirements make them fulfill which is the most strictest one of the two. So he could, one of the requests through the planning and development was maybe straighten out the back lot, because some of it you had, and this was brought up by our associate planner, Mr. Clausen, who went through the plans with the planning department. One of it was, I think, on what Mr. Plunkett was alluding to, was Lot 2 had a triangular lot of 854 square feet, and whether they wanted to corner that off. So for the HRC, you can only use a little bit of that, which you'd be using now just for his rear yard. So he would not be going in to the HRC for anything except for the roadway. Now, if he proposes that roadway has to be approved by the city council. Even if we voted favorable and the roadway wasn't approved, it would be, the project would not be allowed under the zoning because it doesn't meet the frontage on the road. So one of your questions I could answer. The other question I cannot answer, but I wish I could, because when we get the plans, what happens is we send them out to all the department heads in the city, and Mr. Clausen, who's our associate planner, with the help of the other people in the planning department, mails those out for all the other departments to comment on. And one of the comments we did not get back, actually, we only got 2 comments back out of the 8 departments. The ones we got back was a traffic engineer, and we did get one back from the water utility. We did not get any comments back from the wastewater utility. So that question I can't answer for. I wish I had that answer for you. We also didn't get them back from the Board of Health, which is important too, that sometimes relates to the wastewater facility. We didn't get it back from the city engineer, which is usually a very important one for us, because they look over everything. I know Mr. Clausen and I spoke earlier today, as we do on most meeting days, to make sure that we have everything ready for the meeting this evening, and he indicated the city engineer was looking at those and didn't have a chance to get comments back to us. So I hope that answers some of your questions. I know it doesn't answer all your questions, but I'm sure some of the planning board members, as well as myself, have some of those concerns to see what the other departments' recommendations are as well.
Could we postpone until we get all the reports in?
Well, basically we could, you know, and whatever we have open tonight, if we did do that, we'd keep the meeting open.
Would you please?
And I'm sure we'd consider that, because a lot of times, those results and their recommendations to
Well,
us are very
it'll
important.
also give you a chance to find out about the sewer issue, which could be quite expensive for me.
Right. I mean, so that would be a concern, so I tried to answer the one concern that you have.
I
So-
appreciate
and
that,
I will,
and I thank you.
Any other ones I have, I'll try to answer, but, so I'm sure anybody else who has those questions, those comments have not been given back to us. So why he's trying to put the 2 lots in the traditional, they fit in there, and what he's proposing is he can meet the requirements for those 2 lots on what they have.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Huckins. Okay. At this time, anybody else like to speak in opposition?
Mr. Chairman, members of Lowell's Planning Board, ladies and gentlemen, for the record, my name is Mark Goldman, 58 Oakland Street, Lowell, Mass. And I'm speaking in opposition to this because you don't have all the information. You don't have all the comments from the different departments, the engineering department. I don't even know if you have a report from the fire department, whether or not they can get into the houses, and you don't have a plan in front of you that the public can see. So I also would urge that this be postponed until the next meeting, or until you get all the replies from the different departments in the city. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to speak in opposition, please?
Mr. Chairman, the board, thank you for allowing us to come down and speak to you this evening. My name is Calvin Miller. I live at 38 Bigelow Street. I've lived there since 1974. One of the reasons that my wife and I purchased our home there was because of the layout of the neighborhood. As Ken mentioned earlier, all the lots are pretty much symmetrical. The setbacks from the roadway are fairly symmetrical. Lot sizes on average are somewhere around 11,000 square feet and not the 7,000 square feet that we see for these two lots. As Ken also mentioned, we've been here before when we were looking, or when this real estate company was looking to change the zoning, and there had been a plan for 9 houses. And it looks to me like these are the first 2 of those houses that was originally proposed. And based on past history, once I get these 2 houses built, sometime in the future, we'll be back again talking about rezoning and building the remaining 7 houses. I too have had sewer issues over the years with raw sewage backing up into my basement. My neighbors who are here as well, they've had an abundance of sewer issues over the years. So yes, we're very concerned with the sewage capacity. We're very concerned with this big roadway being built with a cul-de-sac and so forth. So if there's nothing going to be built in the HRC zone lot, then I guess my question would be is why do we need a turnaround there? You know, why couldn't the roadway stop right at the HRC? Or at least be there temporarily until the construction is completed and then reseeded or whatever to make it look again like it was originally. Because again, it changes the whole footprint of the neighborhood. And then my other thinking is that you know, as I said, all the other lots are symmetrical. The houses all face Bigelow Street. Now we have a situation here with Lot 2 where we will have one house behind another house. And then on Lot 1, we got the house turned sideways to all the other houses on the street. So those are my objections, and just like I've heard, or you've heard from the previous speakers, I too would like to see all the facts, and I'd like to see final drawings that tell me exactly what kind of houses are going to be built, you know, and final plans, not, well, maybe I'll reserve the right to change this, modify, you know. I certainly, when I've hired contractors in the past, I wanted everything spelled out. I wanted it nailed down with no ands, ifs, buts, or maybes about it before I would approve a contract. And so I'm asking you to do the same thing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, members of the planning board, my name is Donald Pear. I live at 82 Bigelow Street. I am against this plan. I would like to see more information from the other city agencies that have not come forward yet with their recommendations. My wife and I have had sewer problems. We have a baffle valve in front of our house purposely installed to keep the sewage in the city lines on Bigelow Street. I don't know if that line is big enough to accept these new homes supposedly going in, and so forth. There's only 2 hydrants on the street. And one of those hydrants is at the town line of East Chenford and the Lowell line. And the other sewer the other hydrant is on Swan Street, facing Bigelow. I'd like to see this postponed until all the facts are in. And I'd like to see the drawings of the roadway and the new homes. And before any approval is given to this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Anyone else like to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? Sure. You can come up and ask through me, and if I can't answer it, I'm sure I'll address it through the applicant in the future.
Yeah, you spoke that, he would need city council approval for the road. Is that to accept it or just to put it in?
Yes, to accept it.
But not to put it in?
Well, he couldn't put it in until it's accepted. Right.
But not to put it in?
You can't put it in until it's accepted, right. He would have to have it approved, but
Excuse me, I just want to clarify that a little bit.
I'll check with Aaron. Aaron's from Division of Plan and Development.
Oh, sorry, don't mean
No
to jump
problem,
in,
right
but I
ahead.
just want to, if the subdivision's approved, the subdivision plan, the street can be put in, it doesn't become a public accepted street until the city council takes it through, it's essentially a takings of the street, of the right-of-way. At that point, it becomes a public street. It's still a right-of-way, it's a public access right-of-way, as it's approved from the planning board and creates the frontage. So it's really only an accepted street if the city council accepts it, but it can be built.
So therefore, until the city accepts it, the responsibility for the street and everything else is on the applicant and the
That's
owner.
correct, that's correct.
Are we talking about the whole thing that we see here on the drawing, including the turnaround as the street? You had made a comment here, Aaron,
Right, so there's a,
about,
just,
being a little bit more definitive.
yeah, you know, on the plan, it shows the turnaround, the bulb, which
would be the
people
cul-de-sac
associate with the
that we call it.
cul-de-sac, yep.
Okay.
That is identified as a temporary turnaround on the plan. So my comments addressing the area on the new street should be, I guess, surveyed or identified to be accepted by the city council in the short term, leaving a portion or identifying the portion of the turnaround that would be temporary, that would remain with the homeowners association for property maintenance in the short term until it becomes accepted by the city. But until that is solved, whether or not it's a temporary or permanent, the city can't take it and then give it back to be built out in the future. So it would have to be it would have to stay under the ownership or the ownership of the homeowners association.
Hope that helps answer your question.
Well, actually, the question is, he can construct the road without the city council approval. It's only,
If he gets,
So,
if he gets a subdivision approval by the planning board.
right.
If we don't give him the subdivision approval, then he can't go before the council.
Okay, thank you.
I hope that answers your question. Correct, Aaron? Okay.
That's correct.
Anybody else want to speak in regards to opposition or anything else? If not, this time I'm going to turn it over to the board members for their questions, comments, concerns. Rich, you have any questions? I'm going to start with Mr. Lockhart if I could.
I do, a clarification from Attorney Plunkett relative to item number 7 on Mr. Clausen's list. I know you addressed it, but I might be a little bit confused about your comments. About the width of the roadway, and he's asking that maybe we could explore a narrower street layout. And, you know, I'm all in favor of it. Anytime you can reduce your impervious area in any kind of development, it's a desirable thing. And it looks pretty wide, just, you know, if you look at the plan, it looks wide, and I can't really see a dimension on the plan. Can you comment on what your intention is there?
I guess the response would be that the intent would be to not have this deviate at all from any of the standards of the build-out of a street in the city. So that was the response in the sense of, we weren't going to come for any waiver, we weren't going to come for any reduction, we weren't going to come for anything other than saying, okay, whatever the ordinance requires, that's what we're going to do. We will do everything without waiver, variance, full compliance with all the details of the build-out of the roadway.
All right, that's good. So you would you would be willing to sit and explore alternatives here.
Well. Yeah. I mean, it would be a situation that you have potential use in the back that would still be in the future that.
So you're sizing that for future development?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
possibly, yeah. I mean, but bottom line is
Well,
that.
obviously it is because it's
Yeah,
quite wide.
yeah, the intent would be that we would not have any waivers or
Oh, yeah.
variances of any sort.
That's why he's up there.
And, I mean, you've got it labeled here, temporary turnaround.
Yeah. Correct. Again, that would be compliant as allowed under the ordinance for a temporary turnaround at the end of the cul-de-sac.
Yeah, no, I understand. Is that what you meant? Yeah. Well, it just seems to me it could be improved upon to fit what you're showing us.
If you want, yeah.
Mr. Lockhart, Roland, Mainville, 16 Woodbury Way, Drake, Mass. We would more than be willing to work with that. We just don't want it to affect anything that happens in the future because we still have 60,000+ square feet in the back, whether it becomes residential someday or becomes a high-rise building. I don't want to limit myself to future development. If there's a way that we can narrow the road and still be able to move forward in the future, I have no problem with
Yeah,
that.
that's all I'm asking.
Yeah, we have no problem with that.
That's fine. Thank you.
Anything else? Any other questions?
No, Aaron answered the other one I had. That's all I had, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Fischett? Mr. Chairman, thank you. First of all, I commend Aaron. Aaron did a good job on his letter of the 14th, pointing out some of the concerns in the plans that were submitted, and I think Attorney Plunkett, I think for all practical purposes, concurs with the comments. I do agree on a couple issues with the residents who expressed concerns, is that given the issues that were raised by DPD and the fact that you're in the process of revising the plans to address that, and as we noted, we didn't receive comments from the engineering department or wastewater utility as well, the health department. I certainly, I think, for a benefit of this board, it would be prudent upon us to wait till we get those comments and to get the revised plans before any decision would be made.
Just to address that, I think, there's no question that we realize, tonight was the night, excuse me, tonight was the night for the hearing. And to open up the hearing, the city did, we appreciate the efforts of Mr. Clausen and the planning department to get those comments back to us that he did, and we took them into account, have addressed it, but we fully realize that, we did not have, and we don't have the benefit of all the comments either. And certainly it's the intent to work with the city, with the planning board to, address any questions or issues that come up and, fully cognizant of the fact that there are other comments that are going to come in, and, we would expect that, there would be the ability for the planning board to get those in, relay them to my office so that we can address them and have a full discussion on all points of consideration.
Now, I'm assuming when you expressed that you would be in conformance with the subdivision control rules as required by the city of Lowell for the street design and dimensions, that would also include granite curbing. My concern is with that site, and if you are looking at future development, at least the road itself, I understand the cul-de-sac's temporary, but certainly would, I think that it would behoove you to come back with the granite curbing. I think it would probably be beneficial for that particular site. Yeah, yeah. Okay. And I'm not a fan of split-zoned lots, I will tell you, and I understand that you're looking to, as is required, to put the residential use strictly on on the residential portion of the lot, and as the chairman explained, you can use the high-rise residential to get your lot size and to meet your dimensional lot size. However, I do know in the future that that does create some potential issues having the split lot. Split zone lot. So I'm certainly not a fan of that. I certainly understand the concerns of the residents, but I know when we considered the initial plan that came before us, the challenge is there is a high-rise high-rise commercial zone directly behind all these homes. That's a reality that exists, and it's a large portion of the land back there. I mean, you can see it from here. Everything that's in purple is all that high-rise commercial zone. And then this small strip here is Bigelow Street right here. So, I mean, that is a reality that, we face as we're looking at this particular site. For high-rise use, there is no minimum lot size area. So, I mean, that's something to understand as well. And we're still going to end up with a lot of over 60,000 square feet that's in the back over here. So there are some realities that we're trying to deal with this particular site. As the chairman said, this is basically a net of one house lot. One house is coming down, and another lot's going up. And I think it's clear there's a road going up to at least for potentially to do something with that site in the back, and so that you don't end up with a landlocked parcel of land. So I think. Just bear in mind, as the board deals with the site and also the applicant as well, and then trying to understand the concerns of the neighborhood. But that is, in fact, a challenge that we're looking at this particular site. And I think bear in mind, if all the revisions are made as presented, it will be in full compliance with the subdivision regulations of the City of Lowell and meet the zoning requirement as well. I think, obviously, as we value the engineering, reports from the engineering department, as Mr. Close could probably attest to that, and also there was several residents expressed concerns relative to the surge. I look forward to getting the report from wastewater as well, just to get an idea of potential effects of this particular site to the wastewater system. I know there was some improvements when the Lowe's went in, and I don't know how that affected that area, if it did at all, but I know there was an awful lot of improvement done to that particular area, and a lot of money was pumped in that the city otherwise would have had to pay, and quite frankly, Lowe's paid for it. So that's something that I'm eager to see the report from the wastewater on that. But other than that, Mr. Chairman, it would be my intention, and I will obviously wait for other comments, but is to obviously my recommendation would be for postponement until we get the changes that were proposed and the reports from the other departments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Attorney Claremont?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree certainly that we don't have enough information to approve this subdivision tonight. We certainly need some additional information come back from us to make a proper decision. But based upon what we do have here, I have a couple of questions. It appears a paramount issue is going to be with the wastewater capacity on Bigelow Street. We heard from a number of the residents that they already have a problem there. And I'm wondering if there's been some conversation as to how that will be dealt with, the wastewater issues.
That hasn't been an issue that's been brought up at this point in time. Again, we have a situation where we're talking that this, with the plan submitted, a net of one additional residential structure in the area. But, again, we would welcome the information from from the city to address and see what the city says. At this point, all we have is the letter from Mr. Clausen, which we can, we've addressed every issue there, and, I say we would await then further feedback and address any question that comes up at that point.
Well, I anticipate at some point we'll get some comments back from wastewater, and we'll be able to address them at that point. But the proposed stormwater sediment and oil separator on comment number 4 on Mr. Clausen's letter indicated that I think you're going to reconfigure the plant so they'll be located outside of the right-of-way, which is fine. And you have to provide the city with a contact for a designated party maintaining the structures in the future. How do you anticipate maintaining those components? Is it going to be a homeowners association?
There would be a homeowners association of record indicating the responsibilities inherent with this type of setup and, the obligations of the members of that homeowners association to maintain the same.
The larger lot, the 1.4 acres, is that all in, I couldn't quite tell, is that all in HRC district?
Yes.
The larger lot?
Yes.
And where 61, I think the house number is 61 that's being raised, where that's being raised and the new house is being built, is that all in TSF zone?
That lot will also have a portion of the HRC zone to meet the...
Just the corner? Just the corner towards the...
That's the 864 square feet that
Right.
Aaron talks about.
But the balance of that lot, the other 7,000 square feet, that's all in TSF?
Correct.
Okay, so primarily the split zone is concerning the house that's being built behind 73, where we are now.
A small portion, yeah.
Yeah, it still provides significant space in the residential zone to construct a house, meeting all the setback requirements, fully within the residential area, curb cut and driveway.
The detention area that's being proposed for the large lot, is that going to require maintenance as well? Can you describe a little bit about that area?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. That's also part of the homeowners association. Anytime you have a new cul-de-sac or subdivision, there's a homeowners association. The city's not required to maintain that.
If that, well, let me ask you this, if that larger lot at some point were to be subject to future development, I'm assuming that'd be some sort of HRC development, what would happen with that detention area at that point? Would there be an easement for the other properties, the residential properties, to maintain it?
In my cover letter with the submittal, the indication is that there would be the retention of the developer owning that back parcel in terms of a grant of an easement to the residential lots with the two residential structures to utilize that to meet all the requirements as provided to the planning board and approved, if planning board approves, to meet all the criteria for the detention area. But there would be the reservation to move that, provided that all the the necessary criteria is met to service those two lots. Again, that would also be subject, as indicated in the cover letter, that any type of change of that sort would have to be dependent upon a review and approval by the board.
Okay. The comments, a couple of the comments that we did get back, one from the traffic engineer, indicated that the driveways to the proposed houses should be shown on the plan. I know you're going to be redoing the plan to take care of some of the comments on the letter that we reviewed tonight. So he suggests, and I think it's a good idea, to show the driveways on the plan. It also indicates that the existing driveway appears to encroach on lot number 61. How will this be handled? Either the driveway or the proposed roadway needs to move. I just point that out to you. That may be one of the things that you're dealing with when you redo the plan. when the plans are redone, in addition to the driveways, I think it would be helpful to us to show, you know, the setbacks, the dimensions of the setbacks in addition to the driveways. So I think that's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I just have a couple of comments. I agree with the other board members that we should see all the other comments from the other city departments, as well as the wastewater, utilities, as well as the city engineer. I can understand, looking at the plan, the concerns that the neighbors have, that you're coming in with two houses, and obviously, when you see the cul-de-sac at the end saying a temporary turnaround, I think that puts everybody on notice that it's not gonna be a final turnaround, so obviously, there's gonna be future type of development that someone's gonna come in to ask us in the future. Saying that, if they wanna come in the future to do anything on whether it's the HRC or whether it's the traditional neighborhood, they'd have to come before the planning board. The only way they can come back in to put those single-family homes in again is they'd have to come in and ask for another zone change to get that in. Or, if they do something with the industrial zone, it would be two ways to look at that. One, we frown upon people coming through a residential street to get into an industrial zone. There's no doubt about that. I'll make that very clear tonight. Number two, if they try to come in and put single-family lots in the HRC, that would have to get a special permit required, also come before the planning board and the zoning board of appeals. So I know every time, when the first thing I saw the plan, temporary turnaround, and I'm sure any of the neighbors looked at it, if it's temporary, obviously it's there for a reason, they're gonna wanna change it. So any things that would come back would have to come back before the planning board one way or another. Obviously, if they're gonna do a homeowners association, that is a document that the planning board likes to see ahead of time. We refer that to our legal department to make sure that that would cover the people in the city for any damages done on that land for maintenance. It's not just a piece of paper that comes before us and says, we'll take care of it. We always refer that to our law department. We don't have that document. Obviously, that'll be something that we'd want to see in the future. Believe if we come back with the final plans, I'd like to see all the comments that were indicated by Mr. Clausen that developer indicated through council that they would fix if they could be put on the plans. And when we have the final drawings, hopefully those final drawings would be submitted in time so we'd get the final comments back from all the city departments on the final set of plans. And I mean, one of the questions that came up, you know, the fire hydrant, we should have to know where that is. The fire department would want to know that is as well. And a lot of the other concerns that were brought up, I think the wastewater is indicated by a lot of people, has a lot to see how that's gonna work out. The turnaround, how that's gonna work in the future. So I'd be willing, as well as mentioned earlier, is I'd have no objections in continuing the matter until we get all the proper plans and the comments done by the appropriate city boards in regards to the new plans as drawn up. So if we do adopt the motion of that, that would be that this meeting would be a continuation, and everything that was said here tonight is part of the record for us to consider in the future. So therefore, the meeting doesn't stop and start up again. We just continue it, and if any of the neighbors had any further comments, obviously, I would allow them to speak on anything else that has come up in the future. So, yes, sir, do you want to say something?
I just wanted to ask him to do something to make it clarify for
Sure.
that foggy old head.
Oh, yeah.
Is when they draw up the next plan, if they would put on it where the Chelmsford line is coming across,
Okay.
because it does come across in two different ways.
Okay. We can
You
ask them
know,
to put that on
It gets
there for you.
confusing trying to remember which house it comes behind.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm sure that we could request that they do it. I mean, I can see it, where you see it now, we see it in back of the HRC zone.
Right. And it does come across at the other end of it.
Okay. And one other comment I had, I'm not sure, Mr. Plunkett, if this pertains to part of the way coming in on Swan Street, but I received some calls from some of the neighbors on this, and I was informed that coming through Swan Street, and one of the areas there were some dumpsters with fill on site. Do you know if that's part of the property that's owned by your client, or is that part of the people who are in the HRC zone, if you know?
That is not part of, that is not on the land owned by the Swan Street, Swan Street Development. I keep calling them
So
Swan Street.
you think it might be the
but-
HRC zone, or?
Yeah, it's Mark One owns that, and it's in the HRC.
Okay, thank you.
Along with Transgas.
Okay, all right, I appreciate that, thank you. All right. So, hearing that said, we entertain a motion from the board.
Mr. Chairman, just a final request. I appreciate the cooperation, and the planning office has been very good to work with. Just the request being, I'm sure it would be as soon as those comments come in, that they would be forwarded to us so that we could start working on them as soon as possible.
Obviously, I think, I'm not going to speak for Mr. Clausen, but I know he tries to get those out as soon as he can, so therefore you can make arrangements to those or make any concerns that we have. So a lot of times, what might happen is, if they submit a set of plans, and then they get feedback from the city engineer that this is off, and they want to address them, if they don't have the time to come back and change those plans, if they said it would be satisfactory if they did, say, X, Y, and Z, and if Attorney Plunkett said, my client is willing to do X, Y, and Z as recommended by the city engineer, or like, there was a memorandum that went out by Mr. Clausen, our associate planner, to myself, the board members, and the applicant, with, he had 8 concerns, and that's what Mr. Plunkett was trying to address at the beginning of the meeting.
Right.
And a lot of times, I asked him to address those at the start of the meeting, because if not, I know myself and all the other board members are thinking those same questions during the presentation. So a lot of times, if we had a laundry list, for example, from one of the city engineers, and said, we think all these should be done, I would come right out and ask Mr. Close, Mr. Plunkett, or Mr. Mainville, if you're willing to go along with these, and if yes, sometimes we could make a recommendation subject to accepting those. And therefore, that would go in as part of the record, part of the recommendations. So if they got the plans and come in and they tried to say, okay, we can agree to those, but we haven't had the chance to change them. But I think tonight, where they said they have a chance to make the changes for the next meeting, I would hope that those changes would be on the new set of plans submitted to all the city departments so they can look at them, since we are requesting an additional time for the other departments. So if the city engineer who got the plans now, they should get a new copy. The traffic engineer who already made a comment, they should get a new copy, because if something changed on those plans, obviously, we're not gonna hold them to their old recommendation if something's changed for the better or the worse. And then the other departments who didn't have a chance to comment yet back, like the fire department. So I mean, usually, if the road is only owned for 2 houses, they're not as concerned with whether they have to bring a fire truck in to turn around and get back out. They would back out. The question would be, where would be the closest hydrant, how they'd get in. I'm not gonna speak on their behalf, but those are the comments we've seen over the time on the issues they would address. If it was a larger division in the back, they would definitely want turning access, bringing in the size of the trucks that they felt would be safe to adequately serve those people in the city of Lowell, and actually the butters in Chelmsford. So, saying all that, we entertain a motion from the board members for a continuing, if need be, if that's what the request of the board is.
Perhaps, Mr. Chairman, we can ask the applicant too, would it be a sufficient amount of time to get that done? Is 2 weeks sufficient, or you want to go 4?
I think the 2 weeks would be, especially in light of the fact that we probably would expect some of these comments that are in transit now to come in shortly, that gives us time to address all.
To revamp the plan? Okay. Then I'll make a motion to continue it for 2 weeks to our next scheduled meeting.
I'll second the motion.
The only comment I have is, since we're on a Thursday night now, the next meeting is February 7th, which will be less than 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's right. It's,
Because we're on a Thursday night now, because we usually meet on Monday, but we had the Martin Luther King holiday.
Right.
So if we come up to then the meeting after that would be a Thursday night, February 24th. Because I think we don't want to make sure that they get the new plans, all the departments have them commented, and we're back in the same position we're in tonight.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, just in fairness to the people that were here, I would hate to, be honest, again, we'll ask the applicant as well, but I would hate to schedule it for the 7th and then, for some reason, not have you available, you know, and get back here and say, well, geez, we weren't able to make the appropriate changes. So I certainly, you know, looking at today being the 20th, I just think it would be prudent to look to continue this to the 24th. And I think that way there, we're not looking at another situation where we just have some items that are not complete. And I know I would feel more confident in that. Although I understand the petitioner and the applicant may feel that they can do that, I just, there's still some things out of their control, and that's when they will get the information from the city.
Mr. Chairman, the 24th, I think, is an appropriate date for the
So I'll amend the motion to continue it to February 24th.
Seconded.
Motion made and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes yes, the matter will be continued. So what happens is, this is a public hearing, will be a continuation of the hearing. So therefore, if any of the neighbors who haven't spoke tonight, or any of them who want to come down as a result of hearing from the other neighbors, or what they watched on TV tonight, or if anybody has any further questions from the new set of plans, the board will be happy to hear from everybody, okay? And I thank all the neighbors for coming down, and I appreciate their input. Thank you very much. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
It's a complicated little project. It really is. It's difficult. That one's over there too, but you can't really see that. Yeah, I didn't look at that, that's interesting. Yeah, no, I'm with you. Yeah.
Right, and that's why that's even one line over. So the question he got is, he says, I understand that. Why he said you can get
There's a
it
lot
back.
of that.
It's tough.
There is.
This would benefit the city more so than the HR.
Say that again? Oh, very, yeah, I know it, yeah.
Gentlemen, thank you.
Hey, Mark.
Okay, moving along with the agenda, we have no further new business. On other business, we have no zoning board notices of appeal. Aaron, do you have any further comments from the planning development staff or the board members?
No, there's not a whole lot new going on right now. The board may recall that the February 7th meeting, the other 61 Bishop Street subdivision that's under review right now is going to be back on the agenda. So there's also a couple
That's-
of pre-application sessions for that meeting.
Yeah, that's
Bishop Street,
that's
yeah.
February 7th.
Little confusion on it because it's 61 Bigelow and 61 Bishop. but-
So Bishop is coming back for the final set of plans for the next meeting.
Yep. There's a pre-application session scheduled for that meeting with Moore Street, which is the Sacred Heart Church.
Oh, okay.
And then,
We saw something on that before.
pardon me, excuse me, that's an else, and they're going to be submitting soon. They don't have the full package yet. I'm getting projects mixed up now. Moore Street will be submitting for the special permit, the conversion of existing building special permit.
'Cause they
I
came in
presume
before
for the
the
24th.
Preliminary, right?
I'm
Came in
sorry?
before on a preliminary, yeah.
That's correct. That was probably, 6 months ago or so now.
That's been a while, yeah.
Yep. And then there's a couple pre-application sessions coming up on the 7th. So I think Joe handed out some agendas for that meeting for you to review.
Okay. All right. Okay. Any further comments from any of the board members? If not, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved. Motion's made second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Chair votes yes. We are adjourned, and thank you, everybody.